Great scorers, they have a habit of silencing Thousand on a whim or resurrecting a crowd's pent-up energy. Tonight, two potent offenses known for their incredible home results. Will the Rowdies raise their sinking playoff hopes? Or will the Battery silence Al Lang and continue their Eastern Conference climb? Welcome to the USL Game of the Week on ESPN News off the Sunshine State coast in St. Petersburg. The sun shines. The Tampa Bay Rowdies rolling into August. Can they turn their season around? They sit 12th in the East. And tonight, Mike Anhauser, the reigning USL Coach of the Month, and the Charleston Battery pay a visit sitting in third. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our booth alongside former German pro Devin Kerr. Mike Watts alongside. We're really excited to bring this game to you because in reality for Tampa Bay, they've changed coaches this season, brought in a ton of new players. For Charleston, that really happened preseason, the new players. You would argue they could have been in totally flipped positions on the table. Hasn't been so.
You hit the nail on the head. Unfortunately for Mike Anhauser, they were absolutely ravaged in the offseason, but he was able to reorganize his squad, made a massive change formationally into a three-back system, and they've gotten some positive results. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, same song, different day, struggling on the road. Their road woes continue this year after the departure of Stuart Campbell. Neil Collins steps in. He's given us some reasons why he thinks they haven't been able to get it done. Dealing with injuries, guys coming in and out of the roster, not in proper form. And also, an interesting side note, he felt that they didn't do so well on artificial turf. Regardless of what it was, all of those things have stepped in to give them a terrible road record.
It's just a continuing issue for the Rowdies and priority number one for Neil Collins since taking over. For Charleston, 9 matches unbeaten. They're rolling like nobody in the league.
Interestingly enough, this is actually their second streak this year of 9 matches, 11 if you count their U.S. Open Cup run. And for them, it's not one guy. One guy's going to get the notoriety, but it's the entire squad, all 11, buying into this system that Anhauser has put in front of them. Their ability to get it done has been almost second to none in the USL, chasing the longest streak, FC Cincinnati.
So Charleston is playing well, and they've been very consistent with their lineup. The Rowdy defense has been eviscerated by injury, suspension, the coach becoming a center back and vice versa. Well, it's been a struggle.
When Stuart Campbell started the season, it was abysmal. Neil Collins stepped in. It's not much better. Borderline poor. But here's the thing. They have plenty of talent. He switched the entire back four. You're going to see it moved around again. But look, their ability to consistently communicate with each other has not been happening on a regular basis. That's going to be a major problem because they're going to have to deal with the big guy up top, Atula Guerra, leading the Golden Boot race right now in the USL. He's a big guy, the number 9 that likes to sit with his back to goal. That's not the case anymore. Anhauser telling us that he switched his game up. He wants the ball out in front of him, down into the channels. You've seen him been able to combine on a regular basis with the rest of his teammates, not necessarily isolated efforts in one-on-one situations.
He had just 7 goals in the last 2 years, but he's got 12 right now. No one's scoring better in the entire USL. For Tampa Bay, their offense, it's humming along, just like Al Lang Stadium, but just 1 win in their last 5. For Charleston, they're on the road. Their second 9-game unbeaten streak in the league this year, 3rd in the East, and they steal 3 in St. Pete. Come back and find out. 85 degrees. It's a great time to go sit on a buoy, enjoy the water outside Al Lang Stadium as the Rowdies and the Batteries set to meet. Giant Eastern Conference game ahead. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts starting lineup for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Joe Cole is back in the lineup, and this lineup is completely different than what you may have seen at the start of the year.
It's similar to what we referenced at the top of the broadcast, that we're trying to find form for Neil Collins. He's really searching to help push this squad into the playoff race and figure out what to do. They've switched in the pipes with Cody Mizell, but he's gotten the starting nod back. Left back, Morad, the recent acquisition, he's been a good one that they should get going in that back line to solidify it. And number 56 up top, Stefano Bonomo. He is the guy that has shown good form on a regular basis, stepping in through 6 matches.
On the other side, Charleston Battery. This is largely the lineup that you would anticipate. Guerra starts up front. Candela, Mansoray among the changes they do make.
And Ta'anunga, number 22 in the middle. He likes to pull the strings. Van Schaik doing well on the left side. Likes to switch, though. Woodbine can come over to the left, Van Schaik over to the right. But the 3-back system here, these guys, not only have they switched the entire formation, Skylar Thomas, Mueller, and Hackshaw, but they've been able to do it quite consistently, and that's difficult to do when you're used to playing a 4-back squad.
Neil Collins is the head coach for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Took over from Stu Campbell back in May, the Scottish native. Nearly 600 games as a player, taking over as a head coach. He met with Bill Edwards, the owner of the Rowdies, and simply the job was too good to pass up, moving from center back to head coach. On the other side, he's been, well, as Charleston Battery as you get, Mike Anhauser. And if you aren't considering him for Coach of the Year, you're missing out. He and Bob Lilly, former Rhinos coach, currently with Pittsburgh, have to be among the ringleaders, as he is the reigning USL Coach of the Month. It's the white jerseys for Charleston Battery. It's the green and yellow hoops for Tampa Bay. Rowdies and Battery, two of the preeminent names in United States soccer history, underway from Al Lang Stadium on this Wednesday night in the USL Game of the Week. Early whistle. Hunter Gorski's got his arms outstretched. Kicked along by Cody Mizell. Down by Obi Woodbine. Turned over. Blazing speed of Junior Flemings won't be enough to catch up to this as it waves goodbye to the corner flag. Devin, you look at these two teams and the way they play structurally, very similar. A lot of this year has been about the inability of Tampa Bay to execute the way that Charleston has.
It's been eerie how well they are built to kind of counteract each other because they run similar systems. They have extremely similar personnel. Like you said, Mike, coming down the stretch, they just haven't been able to get it done. They've started slow, they've ended slow. You track back to just recent game versus Ottawa on the road, losing 2-0. Opening 60 seconds of play, ball gets knocked in and Cody Mizell drops it right through his hands, and that set the tempo for the entire match. So Neil Collins can make excuses that they haven't performed very well on artificial turf, but can't always blame the turf. Can't blame your surroundings. Sometimes you can only blame yourself.
Tarek Morad, who was signed off the street this week, officially signed yesterday and right in at left back. Bypasses Joe Cole, the England international, and it's headed out by Skylar Thomas. Stefano Bonomo, Flemings, former teammates, New York Red Bulls too. This is Candela and Woodbine. Crossfield diagonal, drops well. Mansoray isn't able to keep that in. Well, Al Lang Stadium has been a phenomenal home to the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Last renovated in 2015, opened in 1947 in downtown St. Petersburg. They've been hosting giant concerts here. Devin, I know you're a giant Counting Crows fan. They were just here.
I actually saw that. Drew Felios, one of the announcers that we frequent with, listened to his broadcast, and he was going through the slate of performances that were going to take place here outside of regularly scheduled football matches, and it was amazing. This is a fun city, though. If you've never had the opportunity to get to St. Petersburg, it is super fun. My brother went to college here, spent a lot of time as a youth at camps and going to different academies. University of Tampa located quite close as well, but Any chance you get to interact with these fans, they're super fun to be around. They'll jump to Big Storm Brewing. They used to have the Rowdies down. Unfortunately, that's not open anymore, but McDitton's is another fun place. Downtown area, just absolutely amazing views.
Good play by Joe Kuzminski, who's run away with the starting goalkeeping job for the Battery. He's only lost once so far this year in his 16 starts. Candela. Back from Woodbine. Skylar Thomas. Here's Taylor Mueller, moving to 4th all-time in Battery games played. With tonight's appearance. Thomas. Well, Charleston in a stretch of 3 games in 7 days. They're 6 points from first. FC Cincinnati leading the way still, 9 points from 9th. At the moment, they're pretty safely in the middle class of the USL's Eastern Conference. Slide in, Bonomo couldn't retrieve it. Patient stuff right now from the Battery. This is something that Neil Collins said his team wanted to do more. Press higher up the field, win the ball higher up the field, and comes to fruition here for Leo Fernandez.
It's definitely where their success is going to be, their ability to counteract teams on the defensive side of things when they push that high line and then explode going the other direction. That's where they've had most of their success. But again, the application thought is there. They just haven't been able to do it, and you'll get one guy stepping up, the other two lackadaisical, moving in behind. And even then, even though they've been able to put the ball in the back of the net a little bit more regularly since Neil Collins stepping in, they really haven't been able to do anything on the defensive side of the ball.
Turned over, dangerous spot, Wild. Wild goes down. Referee allowing play to continue. Guido Gonzalez, referee on the night. Well, this is Tampa Bay's Achilles heel. Silly mistakes in the back line have been a problem all year.
Almost on cue, an absolutely unnecessary turnover, and the Battery are just too good of a squad to step into a situation like that. They'll pounce on you right away. Very unlucky that they weren't able to get a shot off, but that's what we've seen from the Rowdies all season long. It needs to be quicker out of the back, and there needs to be better communication. You can see they're just not on the same page. The back four start to move out right now. Your outside back's got to be up on the pitch, and you can see slowly moving. Leo Fernandez coming back. Morad touched inside. He needs to be on the touchline when that ball plays out to him to allow himself to get up the channel.
Diakite. Moving along by Kwadwo Poku. And now Fernandez. Oh, Fernandez gets by one, sends the service, chested down. No whistle for a handball. Poku knocks it ahead. Joe Cole can't maintain it. Chance to get out on the counter through Van Schaik. Ansere, Guerra can get together with Hackshaw. Passing Candela. Here's Gordon Wild, second round pick of Atlanta. Generation Adidas player on loan. The Battery. Had a great relationship these last few years. Some of the big stars in Atlanta have made pit stops in Charleston. Turned over to Anunga. Whipped up the left-hand side, too far for Van Schaik.
Definitely been nice for Anheuser to have that relationship with Atlanta United, and it's been fun to watch some of those guys step out of the squad on loan and then head back to their home club of Atlanta United, have some success. Other ones get lost in translation, make their way back here. Definitely benefits Anheuser and the boys, providing more depth. They don't carry the biggest squad, so anytime they can get their hands on some players to help out, obviously going to benefit them in the long run. And for me, this is the biggest thing when you watch the battery. Now, it's a bad ball played outside by Mansoray, but in this three-back system, Neville Hackshaw and Skylar Thomas aren't afraid to attack whatsoever. Taylor Mueller is just such a good center back. He keeps everybody in check and pulls the entire unit back. So when they do turn the ball over, that's where you see it won't happen with Tampa Bay Rowdies. When they start to come the other direction, if they turn it over, you'll see it's a collective effort from front to back, starting with big number 10 up top, moving all the way back to Joe Kuzminski, and all of these guys and their ability to just kind of counterpunch what's being thrown at them is why they're sitting number 2 in the Eastern Conference.
Mike Anhauser just describes a team-wide pride on defending. It does show. Thomas bypassing Woodbine. Throw coming. Poku. It's the turn from Bonomo. Woodbine sent it the other way.
This is the chance just a few short moments ago as ball comes back across. You see Gordon Wild trying to bring it across his body, lobbying for a point to the spot from our referee, but just getting tangled up. Not too much he's going to do in that situation.
There's Tarek Morad, who just signed with the team. That wouldn't be the way to endear yourself to Ralph's mob, conceding an early penalty. Wouldn't be, though. Really well liked. Louisville City was with them last year when they won the USL Cup.
You and I chatting off camera, Mike, we couldn't believe that he hadn't been picked up in the offseason. And, you know, he played a great role with James O'Connor and his squad in that championship season last year. And to have a guy like that, not only not be in the USL on a squad, but not be anywhere. I mean, how could no one have stepped in and said, hey, we want to give you a look?
Baffling stuff. It's Cole looking for Fernandez. Joe Cole arrives again. And nearly 300 appearances in Chelsea. We got a chance to talk with the Chelsea staff a couple of weeks ago, Devin, and they said Joe Cole still comes back during the offseason and trains a bit at Cobham. Apparently they haven't turned off his ID card yet.
It's probably one of those long-term things he built into his contract back in the day. Use of the facilities, good massage from the trainer, whirlpool accessibility.
Gorski. Morad. Bonomo turns and wheels this too far over Kyle Porter, mid-season addition from Ottawa. O'Brien Woodbine. Well, he turned that over. Fernandez, really creative left-hand wing. Little push at Bonomo from Mueller. Bonomo pointing for a throw. It's with the battery. That's a matchup to watch all game long. Mueller is a special kind of defender.
It's a good stuff by the center back stepping over, and even though he couldn't get the jump on Bonomo right away, you can see him work back. Does a good job just squaring up versus him. Gets a nice bounce off of Bonomo coming to the end line, but that's a run that they don't always want Bonomo to step out of the middle for. They'd like him to be their point man, the focal point, so that when the balls do get down into the channels, they can pick him out. They need to get Fernandez and Flemings into those tight spaces because they have explosive speed to get down in there and whip a nice ball across.
Here's Oduro. Neil Collins says, where would we be without him right now? Morad. Poku. Flemings, a tap. Nunga was there again. He's had a couple of fine interceptions in the match to this point. comes the high pressure from Tampa Bay. Morad just dumps it into the corner by Fernandez. Thomas. Flemings is coming. Mueller nods it the other way. For some reason, this Tampa Bay side is just perplexed. Charleston made the first pass, very rarely the second.
3 times in the opening 15 minutes. We've seen the ball be funneled around to left back Neviel Hackshaw, only for him to look to play that long ball down in, let Anunga or Mansouri run onto it. He just knocked it out of bounds. Not the crispness we've seen from the Battery in the past. On the other side of things, talked about Dominic Odor in the middle. How about Joe Cole? They got to get him more active on the ball. A few games back, it was the New York Red Bull game, New York Red Bull 2. He went the opening 9 minutes without getting a single touch on the ball. That cannot happen from a guy like that.
Ensuing service for Charleston falls for a long distance, half volley, sent into the Al Lang Stadium stands. That was Anunga. Well, trouble brewing here. Mizell nearly gave it away. And an empty net. Shenzo Candela isn't able to make him pay. Gosh, this is the enigmatic nature of Tampa Bay on display.
It's impressive. You were giving credit to Tampa Bay Rowdies and their ability to press, but Battery stepping up. They had them quivering in their shoes, pushing that nice high line all the way into the defensive third. And it's really difficult to play out of something in that situation. It's even more so when you're not used to it. I mean, we've seen that's the first time you've really seen the Battery step up in a situation like this, opening 15, 16 minutes. They've primarily been sitting back, much more tentative in their movements up the field, trying to kind of work the outside back position. Instead, employing some more energy, and you can see Tampa Bay just didn't see it coming.
Tula Guerra last to get a touch there. He's been rather quiet, the USL's goal-scoring leader. As we're 16 minutes into the USL Game of the Week. 2 of the best home teams in the league. MUSC Health Stadium. Regiment and that incredible crowd. Charleston and Al Lang Stadium. Ralph's mob and the supporters here, along with the humidity, of course, have made these 2 unbearable places to play for opposition. Porter got stepped aside. This is out for a Rowdy corner.
It's always difficult from a player trying to get acclimated to an environment you're not used to. Such a rapid pace as well. There's a big difference between playing at 90-degree weather, 50-degree humidity, as opposed to you come to South Florida, Florida in general, and you start to step into 85, 90%. The dew point's absolutely insane, and you can just feel it dripping off you. You and I have chatted about it before. It seems like it should be you losing weight, but you actually are gaining because you're holding so much water.
Well, Rowdies effective talk from the referee. Set everybody straight. Corner on the way to the near post. Jumping over it was Flemings. Knocked wide again. Fernandez. Header steered on frame. Bonomo sent it on target. Kuzminski able to make the catch.
Not a bad idea from the Rowdies, especially on the second effort. First one, the dummy run to the front post. Tries to let it run across the 6, but as it comes back out, they do a good job keeping themselves onside, circling, backing around, making the ability of Leo Fernandez to get a second ball down in there, Bonomo to challenge it.
Mansouri, formerly of Seattle and Cincinnati. And now Hackshaw. Charleston's probably had more of the possession, but they don't have much to show for it. Outside of a couple of rowdy miscues. Thomas, Woodbine, taken away by Morad. Cole, to deal with Guerra here. It's Mizell. When you think about last year, the Rowdies had one of, if not the best goalkeepers in the league in Matt Pickens, and he moves on to Nashville, and Fitzgerald, who was the backup and played a bit last year with Pickens out of the lineup early. And Mizell coming over from the Charlotte Independence, it just hasn't been a guarantee.
The carousel of goalkeepers in general in the offseason was crazy.
Yeah.
When you saw Evan Newton departing, heading over to FC Cincinnati, Mitch Hildebrandt now at the friendly affiliate, we'll call it, for the Charleston Battery, now with the Atlanta United, and every single person, and just bouncing back and forth. Cody Mizell, Fitzgerald, they really haven't been able to show themselves on a regular basis. Neil Collins has said that they are neck and neck with each other in the goalkeeping battle back there, but that's kind of a point in time. You expect someone in a position like that to step up and really show what they're made of. That hasn't been the case, and that's another woe that they've dealt with all season long.
Well, this is turned over. It's just out of the reach of Guerra, with Wild pushing forward as well. Kate pushed ahead by Cole. Fernandez. Cole's behind. Fernandez choosing to play it. Kuzminski not on the same page with Mueller. Now Wild. Wild! Excellent couple of moves. And now Guerra trying to slip it through. And Hunter Gorski comes over to sweep it aside. So the Battery go to work. Results in 16 of their last 17 games. The only team that can really make a claim, they're at the same level of late in terms of unbeaten, is probably Reno in the West. It's been an incredible run by the Battery.
How frustrated must you be as a player as well to be in such good form, getting results like that, and still chasing FC Cincinnati, who's doing the same thing just above you. They're at 11 right now.
That's right, Woodbine. Yet, as well as Charleston's played, we asked if Mike Anhauser's starting to look at playoff matchups and could we see the Rowdies again. He's worried he's going to drop the 9th. Wild. Said 3-4 games the wrong way. And the way the East is structured right now, you can find yourself on the outside looking in.
The amount of games that are left over, why not? I mean, the composition for the East is, it's made up that way. There's 10 points separating 12th and 4th. And like you said, 2-3 games here, and especially when these guys are playing each other, that's when it's kind of that double whammy. Guys headed in the other direction. We saw Louisville City kind of drop off a touch after the departure of James O'Connor, really struggled with form. Now they've gotten things back on track. Skylar Thomas playing a ball in. Vincenzo Candela just coming in from behind. Not the worst foul to give away in that kind of gray area in the middle of the field.
Ball sneaking over to Poku. And back now to Anunga. Drives it through. Handled by Morad. Joe Cole, legendary English player, leaving it up to Fernandez. Cole again. Cole gets cleaned out. There's going to be a card for this. Guido Gonzalez checking back. You really can't do that to any player, but you definitely can't do it to Joe Cole.
He's got way too much respect from every single person. in this game, not this league, in this game. I mean, all around the world. Vincenzo Candela stepping in very late, and there's no reason for him to either. Cole had already lined this up, and you could see the long ball was going to be played. That's one where you just regroup, step back, and help your mates out across the pitch. Unfortunately, throwing himself behind, and you hate to see that, especially from such a vital player in the middle of the field 24 minutes in. Grab an unnecessary yellow card. A lot of times, you and I, Mike, have seen that come back to haunt teams down the stretch.
Diakite, former Young Player of the Year with FC Edmonton. Long ball bounces over Porter. He's in an offside position. So Kuzminski steps in, of UAB Blazer fame. 3 years as starter there. And after largely sitting and waiting on the bench last year, he's burst onto the scene for the Battery. It's overcooked. I'm a huge Pete fan. Come on. Look at that
How
guy.
much fun do they have? Absolutely amazing. This is an electric atmosphere, great stadium. You talked about the renovations, and just, it's one of those towns where you can start off in one location downtown, hanging out with some friends, having some food, walk 5 seconds, step into Al Lang Stadium, into an environment like this.
It's shocking just how direct and how descriptive you've been of downtown St. Pete.
Spent some time there.
Yeah.
few times there.
Garrow whipping this off frame.
At least it's all good memories and nothing bad.
Right.
You know? Ralph's mob would eat me up.
Yeah.
I'd be in trouble.
Well, it's been a quiet start for Garrett and for Wild. That was the big question you had coming into this game, Devin, was how would Tampa Bay slow down two of the most, in one case, creative and the other most direct attacking threats in the USL this year?
So far, Murad's been decent. I'm not going to say great. He's been decent at the left back position. Kyle Porter on the other side hasn't dealt with a boatload. Most of it's been right down the middle.
Well, there is Wild stepping in. Johnny on the spot, Tarek Morad.
That's great, but that's your left back siphoning all the way over, almost the right central back position. It's great that he's able to do that, but you would love to see Gorski or Diakite step in.
Flemings floats the switch too far for Bonomo.
Another thing that's been haunting both these squads is when they have pushed themselves further down into the field, into these dangerous positions. They've really lacked that quality. Made the reference earlier to Neviel Hackshaw on the left side. He's given a few balls away, and Leo Fernandez following suit as well. Not always necessary to just loft one into there to the back post. Needs to be better decision making, and that goes again back to the communication factor we've referenced before. You've got guys that are veterans in this game overall. Joe Cole's got to step in and tell his boys to calm down a touch. They've maintained some deep spells of possession, but once they cross over midfield, it's almost like they've lost their thought process.
Ooh, Poku sort of catches the concrete there.
Tangled up with the video board.
Amazingly, both are operating perfectly fine. This is Odoro, former Manchester City Academy player. Time in the PDL at FC Golden State Force. USL Game of the Week from St. Petersburg, Florida. Tampa Bay Rowdies, the Charleston Battery. If you're looking for the iconic names in soccer in this country, you're not going to get much further down the list than this pair. Service up the right-hand side. Porter got a touch to it, but Porter continuing on and lofting it across, looking for Flemings. Headed out by Skylar Thomas. Fleming's bouncing ball handled by Mueller. Fernandez curling this down. Fleming's will take a shot. Thomas left that right in the strike path. Fleming's, who's been on fire of late.
Better ball movement by the Rowdies. You could see the composure ever present this time when they move over center field. And Fernandez whips one in, don't mind it. Bonomo trying to crash the back post. Skylar Thomas very fortunate this doesn't come off his hand. Fleming's just steps in, gets a half chance, trying to pick out that near post and challenge Joe Kuzminski. One of the better looks that we've seen from the Rowdies.
Tarek Morad all over the place. That initial header upfield. Woodbine didn't get much of that. Adoro and now Poku. All lofted toward Mueller. Both teams have been pretty measured in this game. You think about all the attacking talent they have, it's so pacey that transition suits both offenses better, but neither's really conceding that space.
They're being very careful. You can see that the calculation, Devin really coming into their mind as they push here, and they don't want to push too many numbers forward. It's really been a 2-3-man game for the Battery going the other direction. We've seen Guerra and Wild or Guerra and Mansoray, never really more than 3 at a time. They're definitely afraid if they give up too much space and have too many personnel forward that the Rowdies are going to be able to counteract that the other direction.
Turn from Cole. Fernandez has space, got the crossway. Bonomo has this skitter off his foot.
Rowdy's doing similar things though as well, because very rarely have we seen opening part of this first half a lot of guys really in the final third of the field. Last 5-6 minutes you can see them pushing their line higher. They've been the recipients of some solid challenges, which has enabled them to carry possession into the spots that we're seeing now. Makes it that much more difficult for the Battery to deal with more players from the Rowdies, but also your craft has to be better if you're a Rowdies player, because the field has now become condensed. So when you, instead of having 60, 70 yards, now you're dealing with a 30, 40 yard span.
Joe Cole splitting Skylar Thomas, Taylor Mueller. Ball slipped inside. Fleming's isn't able to hit Fernandez. It's Wild now. And Guerra, formerly with Central FC out of Trinidad and Tobago. Guerra was moving backwards and it's ultimately turned over to Cole. A little bit of room here for Fleming's. Fleming's goes down, and he should win an Oscar for that at first glance. Is eventually kicked out.
The big guy up top for the Battery stepping back. Sometimes when your striker isn't seeing enough of the ball, he'll do that, turns it over. Fleming's going one-on-one and also deciding he's going to challenge Skylar Thomas. I don't even know if that's Academy Award, maybe a Tony.
This is a live performance. Well, he's still down, and it can be tough to see what exactly goes on in close quarters. You've been in those kind of challenges where you certainly know.
And Skylar Thomas's shoes going, I didn't touch him. Get out, man.
Junior Fleming's trialed with New York Red Bulls in 2016, ended up playing 32 games for them last year. The Rowdies really struggled against them. Being looked at here. Ended up scoring 10 goals total. The Tivoli Gardens have put out some really good players over the years.
More production for the Rowdies going forward. And in that 8-minute span, you could probably attribute some of it to the switch. Leo Fernandez starting off on the left-hand side, Fleming's on the right. They've now flip-flopped. Bonomo's still up top by himself, and even he's dropping a little further back to allow some space behind him to open up. Not really getting anything into his feet, but you've definitely seen Fleming's and Fernandez getting into those dangerous situations. Now they need to figure out how can they hold up play. Once they do get down into the channels, how do you allow the boys in behind to help and come into support? This has turned into a pretty large chess match between the two managers. Not what we were expecting whatsoever. This could have easily been a track meet back and forth, and it still could be, but opening 35 minutes, you've really seen the guys pick and choosing their opportunities. 2 3-man games. Really careful as to where they're going to make their mistakes.
Mansoray continuing to move backward with Poku in pursuit. Charleston moving to this 3-back look in May, really grasping it against the expansion side, ATL UTD2. It's the second half in which they scored 3 goals, and all of a sudden, this amazing run of 18 results in 19 games is manifest. For the Rowdies, they're still trying to figure out how all these pieces fit together. Neil Collins saying he has never had this many changes around a team that he's been a part of, and he's one of the biggest changes of all. Goes from their best center back to manager overnight after Stu Campbell left the club in May. Foul conceded with Poku in the area.
I thought it was interesting to chat with him about that and how he decided to just go. I mean, I'm going to go get my A license. No big deal. What are you doing this weekend?
It's like me saying I'm going to go out and get a truck driving license. I have no intention to drive a truck, but why are you getting the license? Well, he's early in his career getting his coaching license. He knew he might want to do it, but he jumped the gun entirely.
Never thought the opportunity was going to come like this. And he said, you know, I'm very grateful for the fact that I was kind of forward thinking in that sense, because had I not had my A license, I wouldn't have been able to step to the helm of the Rowdies.
Ricochet a couple times with a Tula Guerra on the ball.
It's kind of his center back philosophy, just continuing down. We're always thinking the next play, the next ball, looking for the next movement of the next player. Much like his coaching career, forward thinking, trying to find out when he would have an opportunity down the line, and just coming into the spotlight a little sooner than Neil Collins thought it would.
Get the feeling just a lifelong learner, the Scotsman. It's away from O'Brien Woodbine, who throws this in behind, falling asleep. Guerra missed the post. Gorski is pointing back the other way. He thought that that throw came far too soon. Charleston almost walked away with the opening tally.
You can see again, though, the back line falling asleep. Diakite not recognizing what's going on. Guerra, no problem, turns on the afterburners, and he gets into that isolated situation that he likes to be at. Ball in front of him, one-on-one with Cody Mizell. Should have put that on frame.
We talked about this right from the outset, Devin. If there's one thing that isn't a surprise in this game, it's that this back line is still trying to figure everything out.
It's got to be so frustrating as a player as well, because we also reference their ability to score a little bit more regularly.
Fernandez for Cole. Deflects his side.
It doesn't matter what you're doing on the offensive side of things if you can't figure out how to lock it up with the guys behind you, and that's so difficult as a player to turn around and it's almost worrisome as you're going forward, like, oh, what if I give the ball away here? Because you're immediately tracking back. You don't want a negative thought process coming through your mind, but it's spatial issues, it's communication. All of it has been on display in the opening 39 minutes.
Here's Morad. Seemingly the bright spot for the Rowdies, his debut. Cole. Gorski on the turn. Stefano Bonomo. Poku returns. Joe Cole. Diagonal ball brought down by Fernandez. Off the backside, Obi Woodbine. Fernandez, 2 in close proximity. Morad. Gorski on the turn. Flemings. Ripped away, only for a moment. Porter. That'll deflect out. And a corner coming for Tampa Bay in the 40th minute.
Hackshaw exchanging a few words. Vatan Nunga not happy with his central midfielder as he had to track back and get into the challenge, but it was great defending by number 8, Neviel Hackshaw.
Fernandez, formerly of the Philadelphia Union, serving in, punched out Kuzminski. Candela, outsized pass for Guerra. Ball served across for Bonomo. Comes out to Woodbine. Hands raised. Sharon Van Schaik wants to take over here. All knocked along. Held up on the field, and Guerra's turned back toward Guido Gonzalez, the referee. Gorski will talk it out. Rowdies just 2 wins in their last 11 games. Still one of the top 5 offenses in the USL's Eastern Conference. It hasn't all clicked here. It flies over Flemings. Foul there near midfield. Bonomo to the ground, and Anunga the challenge. And there's the restart. Maybe this is a chance for the Rowdies to get into gear. Porter. Cross field, Adoro. Heads it back out in front. Mueller skies it out. Bonomo's hands are on his head. He was just a little late on that run.
Better stuff from the Rowdies. Much better getting down into the channels and really looking for that connection in the middle of the field. Taylor Mueller smart though as the ball comes in, recognizing the threat, could be right over his shoulder, doesn't have a call for it, so he just knocks it over the end line.
So you're trying to replace the Wolfsburg legend Marcel Schaefer's creativity on the ball. And there's a man named Kwadwo Poku of NYCFC fame that's available. Poku brought in mid-season, creative attacking midfielder, sends this service to the back post. Away from the center back Diakite, who was forward. And what a great opportunity for Marcel Schaefer. I mean, we've talked about the bevy of reasons that the Rowdies have lost players this year, but Schaefer becoming the sporting director for Wolfsburg, his longtime club, can't really blame him for that one.
It's one of those ones as a player, as you start to push into the twilight, if you will, of your career, even probably before he departed the club and came to the United States, you start thinking about, okay, what's my next step after I finish playing? Unfortunately, we all have to think about that. You know, you never want to, but you have to.
Cole dumping this out toward Porter. It's a long run here. It is a goal kick as Van Shea can chase that to the byline.
Everybody's ambitions are going to be different, and some guys want to move into the coaching sector like a Neil Collins. Others maybe just want to retire, you know, go hang out in a nice place like St. Pete. But then there are ones that want to step in and they want to help grow the game, continue with the youth, and to be offered a job like sporting director at such a famed club, Wolfsburg, he'll fit right in there. Obviously, his family grew up there, came up through the ranks, a legend when you walk through the halls of that facility.
Throw coming for the Rowdies.
It's probably like going back to my elementary school.
For you that big a man on campus?
Just elementary school.
Yeah.
Stopped afterward, you know?
Flemings lining up Mueller. Curling ball, Candela. Broke it up. A heavy touch, and Poku able to return. Collision there, and a free kick on the way. Poku most recently playing in Russia. Cole brings it down. Cole plays it wide. Fernandez. Fernandez has this bounce down toward Morad. Wild shakes his head. Now it's Joe Cole. Porter for Flemings. Back heel. Porter the target. Breaks down. Anunga. Turned over. Good header by Fernandez. Joe Cole, bit of class there. Flemings. Flemings pumps the brakes. Got the cross in. Headed up. Kuzminski will flick that back in play. Had gotten out. We're halfway through 1 minute of stoppage time.
More conversation between the back line of the Battery. That's O'Brien Woodbine tracking all the way back, pointing to Skylar Thomas and Taylor Mueller almost immediately not happy with the three at the back and their organizational skills on that play. Excellent opportunity for the Rowdies. You can really feel the emotion and energy starting to lift here at Al Lang.
It's a slow first half. It could all change in a moment. Cole, header down from Bonomo. Follow-up is lifted up and over by Fernandez. And it is the halftime whistle. Well, Devin, that was not what we expected, was it?
Definitely expected it to be much faster, higher tempo of a game. That's what you've seen from both squads over the course of the season, but Battery coming out early, controlling most of the tempo, very slow, trying to find out how they were going to break down this back line of the Tampa Bay Rowdies that's been struggling so much. It's a real good look at the last chance. Leo Fernandez needs to have better composure. Could have hit it first time, but Rowdies counteracting it, getting back into this game, carrying momentum into the second half.
Highlights, stats, news and notes, and more coming up at halftime. USL Game of the Week. Tampa Bay Rowdies at home. And in this heat and humidity, it's been a slow and sticky start. Scoreless through 45. Plenty coming up at halftime after this. Welcome back to the USL Game of the Week. The Rowdies Hill is covered with fans on this Wednesday summer night. It's scoreless between the Rowdies and the Battery. We welcome you back into our booth, joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Glad to have you aboard. That first half, not the way we thought it was going to pan out. How do you inject some form of energy offensively into this game?
If you're Tampa Bay Rowdies, you want to continue what you saw towards the close of the first half. You saw a lot more energy. They were able to move into the final third and start to break them down with their craftiness. If you're Charleston Battery, need that up-tempo, play that high press that has helped you in other matches when you've started to hit that lull.
Let's take a look back at first half highlights and some of the biggest highlights for this Charleston side coming off Tampa Bay mistakes.
Initially, we actually thought this was just getting tangled up in the middle of the box. When you take a second look at it, O'Brien Woodbine has an excellent argument for going to the penalty mark here. Referee points the other way, does not happen whatsoever. And this is what you started to see a lot of. Half chances because Tampa Bay Rowdies could not play out of the back. Candela, understanding that, probably should have done better, just knocks it to the side.
You see the Rowdies getting forward on set pieces. They were decently strong, and Bonomo very strong in the air.
I was actually very impressed by their movement off this ball because that'd be really easy to be lulled into an offside position. Everybody understands that the back line hasn't stepped up. Bonomo gets into a dangerous spot. Saw him have a couple decent looks from his head in the first half, but look, he's got to do better in those situations. Fleming's over the top here as it drops off Skylar Thomas. Got to stay over the top of the ball, put it on frame.
This ball bouncing off of Skylar Thomas. Fleming's going up and over. And this is a total breakdown, Devin.
It's exactly what I talked about in our open, about how the back line is just too lethargic on a regular basis. Diakite getting caught off balance here. Guerra recognizes it, uses that speed and big frame that he's capable of getting into, but again, needs to put something on frame to challenge Cody Mizell. This is really the best chance we saw at the close of the half. It's a great ball into Fernandez, but as he heads it across, doesn't have that trailing run. Bonomo couldn't keep up.
Well, here are your first half statistics, and they pretty much do tell the story. Plenty of buildup. It's just there's really nothing on the end of it. It seemed to break down in the final third.
Possession has slowly made its way back to the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Charleston Battery starting the tempo off in their direction, but that execution in the final third for both squads has been poor. You saw it better from the Rowdies in their possession coming towards the close of the first half. And I said that last chance, that should give them the opportunity to carry that energy into the second. The Battery really started to pull back on the reins. And Hauser going to talk to his boys, figure out how to switch it up.
So halftime scoreless in St. Petersburg, Florida, as the sun sets over the Sunshine State. Rowdies and Batteries scoreless at halftime. Plenty of big news around the USL. Tell you about it when we come back. Now that is how you spend a midsummer's night, Devin.
I told you the views. They're ridiculous. It's amazing.
Right next to the bay at St. Petersburg. All the boats floating around. Tampa Bay and Charleston are scoreless at halftime. How about we show you some news and notes from around the USL? Giant matchups on ESPN Plus as part of the multi-year deal that brings all USL streaming to the platform. Of course, they just added Serie A too. That doesn't hurt. El Paso and Austin Bold have new coaches and new entrants. They're starting to figure things out. And John Hackworth, the former Union coach, U17 youth national team coach, is the new head coach in Louisville.
El Paso has to be super excited because Omar Salgado, who's actually been loaned to the Las Vegas Lights, is absolutely amazing right now, playing at full form. Hackworth, shocked that he left the national team ranks, but that is a massive hire for Louisville City. He's going to get them back on track.
And he'll be there through 2020, his contract, which is when they open their new stadium. For Tampa Bay, news has come fast and furious this year. They started 4-2-0. Things are working the right way. Then David Najum goes down with an ACL tear. That's where things began to fall apart. They lose 4 consecutive games from the end of April to the start of May. Stu Campbell parts ways with the Rowdies. Neil Collins retires and moves from center back to head coach. Marcel Schaefer became the Wolfsburg sporting director. In that time, Georgi Ristov nearly 2 months without a goalie. Breakthrough on July 4th, the scoring record. Since then, it's been up and down.
And the biggest thing for them is that I'm very respectful of all the variables that are at play, but they have plenty of talent and plenty of veteran leaders on this pitch to get the job done. You got to stop making excuses because they are way too talented of a squad to be in the situation that they're in.
Team that finished third last year but fell out of the playoffs disappointingly at Bonomo's feet. He's hoping to help turn it around. We'll get you ready for the second half after this. Sun setting on the west coast of Florida, St. Petersburg, the site, and you can see tucked away there, Al Lang Stadium, home to the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and tonight the USL Game of the Week, as we're scoreless at halftime between the Rowdies and the Charleston Battery. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, some absolutely mastodonic-sized matchups in our upcoming USL Game of the Week schedule. We're going to shift back to ESPN 3 on August the 15th. St. Louis beginning to climb a little bit. Anthony Pulis is figuring things out. Sacramento Republic, a team that's been good all year long under Simon Elliott.
Going to toot my horn a tiny touch here because I actually called the St. Louis FC victory at Reno to end that streak. So all you folks at home, I know you're probably not bettors. Neither am I. But I'm definitely in your corner. RGV, they're an interesting squad as well because Jerson Echeverry has gotten them headed in the right direction. They started to be able to score a little bit more prolifically, but their defense have slacked off as of late. That's their bread and butter. Need to get back to it.
So a lot of Phoenix, a lot of San Antonio, and yes, you'll see HEB Park in Edinburgh, Texas, which is a jewel of a stadium. They're going to be hosting the Women's CONCACAF Championships at HEB Park. Remarkable honor for them and for North Carolina FC and WakeMed Soccer Park. So it's all big news. Oh, will the news be good here for the Rowdies? Will they see their playoff hopes dim a bit? The phenomenal home record is very much in flux into the second half of play between Charleston Battery and Tampa Bay Rowdies. All knocked aside for Neville Hackshaw. O'Doral. Thomas off of Woodbine. No subs at halftime for either group. And when we spoke with Neil Collins about the transition from center back to coach, he described, now all my work's done Monday through Friday, and maybe a team talk at halftime or one or two tactical changes and your three subs. That's all the impact you can really have on a game once you've made it to Wednesday game night or Saturday game day.
It's always frustrating when you can't physically impose your will on a match anymore, but he also mentioned to us one of the hardest things for him has been the relationships that he's carried with everybody, because you have to remember it's like a band of brothers and you're going to war with them each and every time, but now you're the general. You're the one who's barking the orders left and right, and it's difficult to separate the personal side of things when you get into that managerial role, but he's done a good job, at least from a relationship standpoint, carrying things on. Now he's just looking for the results.
A throw for Charleston. Woodbine, veteran of World Cup qualifying for the Reggae Boys. Chested down by Mansoray. Wild. Candela. The overlap's coming, but it's Candela. Off of Joe Cole, who slid down. And here's Kyle Porter, Canadian international. Flemings showing off that burst of speed. Flemings doesn't have the run anymore. Fell apart. Cole leaves it aside. Poku. Poku lost it, does recover, and slips it through. Bonomo. Bonomo goes down. Mueller not whistled.
Can hear all the fans getting involved, not happy with the referee's decision, but have to track back for a second. Give credit to Junior Flemings, who as he gets down to the byline, you called him, Mike, he pulls the ball back because Bonomo gets tangled up with Skylar Thomas right around the top of the six. Rather than knock a ball across to cede possession to the Charleston Battery, he's smart, he holds it up, gives himself another look.
Cole finds Flemings! Excellent save, Kuzminski. And now it's just a point for a goal kick. That must have had an incredible amount of whip on it.
Trying to come out, Neville Hackshaw gets caught out, and Taylor Mueller. It's the run coming from the other side. You can see Hackshaw flat-footed. Van Schaik cannot get back to it. And this save by Kuzminski. How about the touch? That's got to be a nominee for Save of the Week.
And yet, I thought that was a pretty clear touch, no? Flemings was certainly arguing that. It was a clandestine touch. The dubious saves committee diving in after this.
You really have come to respect the inaccuracy of our head referees at certain points in time this year. And to be fair to Julio Gonzalez Jr., it's been a decently called game so far. Hasn't really been out of whack. He's managed the game quite well. Really the first major mistake we've seen him make.
All the way to Kuzminski. Sneaking ball that Diakite goes back to claim. Mizell is under pressure. Diakite going over the back. Not a lot of free ground this year for Tuligera. Really his first chance to be a number 9.
Oh, that's a rough one. Big bruising body of Diakite, standing 6'5". Coming over the back of Tuligera. You said it, he was so used to playing with his back to goal that we've actually seen him in a lot more open spaces this year. Anheuser telling us that he's really worked hard to change his play up.
Ball swung into play, right to Mizell. Would need just a little touch from Hackshaw. Mizell drives it away, an appeal for a handball goes unheard. Guerra's dropped in a bit more. Long diagonal stretching. Will this find Van Schaik? Van Schaik on the cutback, lays it off Candela, and it's held by Mizell. Victor Mansoret was right inside the 6, could have chipped that in, but Mizell holds on.
Vincenzo Candela, why doesn't he hit this with his left foot? Great ball in behind. Van Schaik continuing the play, and right here, this ball is laid off. He opens up his hips, does not get enough power behind it.
Flemings the other way! All the way across the front of goal. It just hopped twice. He was able to turn, shake his defender. Nearly ate up Kuzminski.
Second time tonight we've seen Junior Flemings staring down Joe Kuzminski, both times putting it outside of the 8x8. Ugh. Nevio Kazil making a terrible mistake there and just giving the ball away. Two excellent opportunities for both squads, but that's where you gotta do much better. Junior Flemings on one end with a sitter about 7 yards from goal, cannot beat Joe Kuzminski, and then it tracked back the other way just a second ago. How about the ball in from Van Schaik? Candela can't get it off.
Polku returns, shaved to the ground. Flemings was waiting, ball never reached him. Well, this game has opened up massive way these last couple of minutes. Long run from Morad. Morad shoving Wild off the ball and carrying away. Flemings had a monstrous start to this half. Return to center by Mueller. Porter. Gorski. Porter stood up. Guerra going at Diakite. Annhauser, the coach for Charleston, in diagnosing Tampa Bay's changes since these teams last met. This was months ago. Neil Collins, a former defender, doesn't want to be opened up. Not a guy who wants to see the counter thrust upon his side. He expected that would be a little more if the Rowdies would play, despite the fact that they often are much more attack-minded at home than on the road.
And if you look at the metrics of that statement, Mike, it's been interesting because out of the 31 goals that the Rowdies have been able to score, 19 have come in the second half. But they've also given up 19. So you talked about the game opening up. Offensively, they're starting to find ways to break down the battery. But defensively, they make themselves more susceptible to the counter from the teams that they played. New York Red Bull 2 was able to get it done late in the game. You've seen the battery starting to find ways here and there.
Fouled by Skylar Thomas. Brought down Stefano Bonomo. Rowdies right back to it here. 9 games without a loss for Charleston. Now Lang Stadium, one of the toughest places in the USL to play. They've more than held their own. Mansoray. Mansoray dialing back for the battery, the 56-minute mark. Charleston trying to keep pace with FC Cincinnati at the top of the Eastern Conference. Tampa Bay 4 spots below the playoff line. And Devin, you start to get to this point of the season, and Collins says it's quite apparent that we need to start getting some momentum here, because that's a lot of teams to try and make up ground on. Not all of them are going to falter. It's almost statistically impossible.
It's a good news, bad news deal for the Rowdies that the Eastern Conference #1 is grouped so together. So when everything's that close, you have the chance to move up quite rapidly, but at the same point in time.
Chance to serve. Bonomo steers a header down. Wide of the post.
You really haven't seen that explosion to kind of ignite the second half of their season that can show you that they're capable of moving up those ranks. When you take a look above them, it's NCFC, Independence, Steel. Another header by Bonomo. But that's good news for them. They're at least getting him into those situations where he's able to be found. Opening 10 minutes of this game, that wasn't the case. Interchanging play by Leo Fernandez, Junior Fleming starting to open things up for them in the final third. And for me, it goes back to, it really is the makeup of this squad, because with all due respect to all the teams in the Eastern Conference, there's a big difference between a Bethlehem Steel at 30 points and a Tampa Bay Rowdies at 26. Bethlehem Steel, loads of talent. They are youthful beyond belief, though. They are 17, 18, 19-year-old boys, and you're looking at 29, 30, 31-year-old men. Guys that have way too much experience to be sitting down, looking up at squads that are above them, having the opportunities to push themselves into the playoff ranks.
There's a yellow card coming for the challenge. Mansoray barrel rolled along. This is Dominic Odoro. Shane Roberts hoping to recruit him in mid-season. He's helped shore it up central midfield. His second yellow card. 8 games. Clumsy.
He comes in high, he comes in late. Goes to ground. He probably would have gotten away with it if he would have kept both legs down, but he brings that second one up high on the knee. That's an absolute no-no. Mansoray going to leave a mark on that one. First real threatening set-piece opportunity we've seen from the Battery tonight. And it's easy to pick out Guerra, big tall frame. Hackshaw likes to float into the back as well. Skylar Thomas, they really like to find him. All three guys on the back line standing 6'+".
Thomas has scored a goal. Hackshaw has scored a goal this year. Options galore among these defenders who so often push forward.
And this is a distance that Gordon Wild has pulled the trigger before.
Gordon Wild looked to be pulling the trigger there. Sends a second ball in, popped up in the air, and hit on the volley. Victor Mansoret. This is out for a corner.
I don't mind it from Gordon Wild because you can see the wall set up. They've only got 3 in it, though. Plenty of bodies in the box. You expect him to play this in. Really want to question things for Cody Mizell, so it's a good move by Wild, and then the second ball played back in is nice. But you've got to get those big boys in better situations to make a play on the ball. It's much better defending by the Rowdies.
Wild 6 goals and a trio of assists this year. Former Offensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten at Maryland. And the son of acrobats. Wild bounces this in front, skips all the way across, falls, maybe a chance, and it'll break down. It is a throw. The Battery just past the hour mark. Well, he hasn't seen nearly as much the offense in the second half as he has in the first. Bonomo will come out. The big bruising body of Leon Taylor, the ultimate punisher, comes on. Bonomo, a couple decent headers in this game.
Unfortunately, you saw him go searching a lot of times. They want him in that 9 position up top, so when the things were progressing for them and they got down into the channels and the ball's whipped across, he's there, but he was dropping in almost into a false 10. We've seen it from Guerra as well. When you get your big forwards and they're not getting the reps that they're accustomed to, they go ball hunting. Bonomo getting things played into his head, but like you said, Mike, just not a lot at his feet. So they bring on Leon Taylor, and actually had a buddy of mine who played for the team that he did, Boden's BK in Sweden's 2nd division. Now, they didn't play together. It was years before, but he's kept in touch with a lot of the management over there, and they say that this guy can absolutely fly, and he does such a good job of utilizing his body. Now, he doesn't carry a boatload of weight, tall and lanky, but he positions himself always so appropriately.
Saw him trying to get through with Joe Cole threading. Hoku bounce up to him. Drops back, Oduro. Maybe he's the shot in the arm this Rowdies offense needs. The 5th-ranked offense in the East, 31 goals this year. Flemings plays it through the legs. Skylar Thomas. Bounces down to Cole. Wild for Mansoret. Run pushing forward, all for Wild. That's a clever little back heel. Mansoret. Guerra.
With Anheuser being the tactician that he is, you have to wonder when he's going to follow suit and bring on some more firepower, because they've started to lose it up top. Just moments ago, Tula Guerra tracking back 30 yards to come and get the ball, and when they did go in transition the other way, Gordon Wild had taken position in the 9 spot up top.
A little talking to here.
Just love the referee. Come over here, have a chat. O'Brien Woodbine says, no problem, you get done. Thanks a lot, appreciate it. Little pat on the back, as if it's going to do you any good.
It's just a little fireplace chat.
That's right.
Nothing too meaningful, nothing too hurtful.
Cup of tea?
Yeah. It's the least persnickety conversation I've seen Guido Gonzalez have this year. It's a free kick for the Rowdies, 64 minutes in, floated ball, brought down, chance to slide at this, the follow is in! The Rowdies have scored! But the flag is up, and Flemings will have this wiped off. Mueller is down near the goal line.
Ralph's mob not happy with the decision. The referee giving everybody a chance to regroup now, but Flemings does a good job holding up, drifting to the backside, but you can see he's got about 2.5 feet behind Taylor Mueller when this deflection comes off. Now here's the real question. Does it come off of a Rowdies player? Because if that goes straight from the battery backward, Flemings is onside.
Ask them what they think.
You ask them, that was worth 3. It's not 1-0 anymore.
Well, Kuzminski and Charleston won't fall behind, at least not for now. Maduro. Big collision there. Ultimately came away from a Nunga. It's been a bulldozer in midfield for the battery on the day. Run inside came from Woodbine. And this is struck, gets up high, and rolls out for a corner. Another look at this previous play.
Good movement by the Rowdies. The ball comes down. That's close. That's very, very close.
Mueller's kicking it forward into Gorski, isn't he? Then into Flex.
You see Mueller coming forward. You see Gorski's foot coming forward. It's really tough to tell. That's the referee's discretion.
Van Schaik bouncing over Mueller. Candela. Van Schaik, who's been quiet. Real fan favorite for the battery over the years. High arcing ball, Thomas puts it down, and Mizell is on it. To Porter. Should mention that the longtime front office man for the battery moved on earlier this year. Andrew Bell, the voice of the team for a long time, moved on to USL Memphis. Great group running that organization as it prepares to join USL, and all the best to him there as he surely is watching his former club. Ball through, Flemings. Flemings tries to get it across. And jumping up and over Leon Taylor through the ad board. Deflected for a corner.
This all starts from number 24, Morad, the left back. We saw him stymie the battery a few times in the first half, but this time he gets it going, transition the other way. You can really see the Tampa Bay Rowdies finding form here midway through the second half. Loads of energy and space to exploit.
Options galore here for Kwawu Poku. Poku serves, and it's an instant call against Tarek Morad.
Taylor Mueller, the center back from the battery, trying to get him more Advantageous reaction from the referee, hoping for a yellow card in that situation. Some extracurriculars going on a few times over the past few minutes.
Throw coming in for Van Shake. Trouble brewing here for Anunga. Flemings is after Thomas, stifling stuff now. Taylor. Chase on Anunga. This will get headed back. By the way, the presidents and ownerships of all these teams getting together. Atlanta at All-Star break. Major League Soccer. USL league meetings. They've extended the season 1 week, kept it 34 games. That's the biggest piece of news, but a lot of talk about USL D3 that's coming down the pipeline next year. Plan to have 12-plus teams. Exciting stuff as the brands are starting to come out a bit. Thomas clears this away.
So many great teams around the ranks in the United States, and I'm excited to take a look at someone like Tormenta.
Absolutely.
What a squad that is.
Service is handled by Charleston. What an incredible run they had the PDL this year.
Was shocked when they bowed out early on in the playoffs. Could not believe it.
Incredible. Tampa Bay pushing forward. Joe Cole. Cole knocks it aside. Flemings. Junior Fleming still. Horizontal run, dragging along Gorski. Taylor. Little flick onward, chested down. Lifted up by Cole. And that'll get away from Kyle Porter. Nunga shakes the initial tackle, but it's back to the Rowdies. 71 minutes gone in the USL Game of the Week. Two primo names, very different places in their season. This will get away from Porter and out for a goal kick. There's the change that came on a moment ago. Nico Rittmeyer has come on, an attacking wing player for the Battery.
He's an interesting one. He's done much better this year with his opportunity, but so highly recruited coming out of high school. Actually holds the national record for 10 straight hat tricks.
Well, not only that, but we just talked about South Georgia Tormenta. He's one of the alums.
It's crazy.
Small world. How do you do that? 10 straight games?
I know people that win all county, all state, and they don't score 30 goals in a season.
Right.
Let alone in 10 games.
Ball played backward toward Thomas, and he'll knock it away. Nunga trying to combine with him there. Jay Bolt will come on. Real standout in preseason. Makes his 6th appearance off the bench, 17th of the season. Places will be Woodbine. Kyle Porter here. So Cole started forward. Rittmeyer backed off. Adoro, Poku. Doro again. Through by Morad. Leon Taylor. Ball fired across and allowed out. Jared Van Shake.
Not surprised at the changes by Anhauser. The Rittmeyer one, very appropriate, and Wasn't sure if he was going to go with Higashi or Jay Bolt. Decides to bring on Jay Bolt. Still one left. I'd be shocked if it wasn't Higashi or even Svantesson, who's coming back from injury.
You think about all the trouble that Tulsa had this year. You lose Juan Pablo Cafa and Ian Svantesson, and you're starting over from scratch. Svantesson's been injured, but what a pickup for Charleston. This is Taylor. Run percolating, long distance drive. Smacked off an attacking player. Reverts right back out. Kyle Porter. Little trouble clearing this. Neville Hackshaw. As a little bit of rain begins to fall in St. Pete. Devin, put yours on. Are those Charleston or Tampa Bay? The colors are eerily similar in the poncho selection.
That's a pickup on the way in. Quick $1.99 purchase just to be safe.
Last year we were in Tampa Bay for the game of the week and ended up with a multi-hour lightning delay. On the corner for the Rowdies. Steered toward Odoro. Handled well by Guerra. He started to leak out, but Candela couldn't combine with him. Taylor. Rowdies with under a quarter of an hour to go. Ball across for Flemings. Can he nod that back down? A push from Flemings. And the play flames out.
Taylor Flemings, or Taylor Mueller, and Junior Flemings doing battle again. This has turned into an interesting matchup in the second half, especially considering the size difference, but nice one-on-one ball to the back post. As Flemings floats over, gives a friendly nod to his neighbor that has become Taylor Mueller here in the second half. It's been a fun matchup to watch.
Off the chest of Hackshaw, who, if you can believe it, had a buzz cut last year. Local station Charleston, WCBD, put together a nice story on that. The whole team is behind the hair change, for what it's worth. Van Shake. Haven't seen much of Jay Bolt yet. Bolt works in on Fernandez. Bolt sliding down. Did he get it off Fernandez? He did. It's a corner for the Roadside Battery. Of course, there are those rumors that Usain Bolt might join Las Vegas Lights. That's been talked about. I'm not sure how realistic that is. The rain pouring now. No connection there with Jay. Service here for the Battery. Skips across. The touch from Thomas picked up by Mizell.
We've been very critical of the backline of Tampa Bay Rowdies all night long. But this almost assuredly should end up in the back of the net when it comes around to Skylar Thomas. Just drifts to the back post, and Diakite getting stuck in.
Flemings out in front, a little back heel. Will float all the way across, and Nunga able to bring it down and on the Bolt. It's very realistic that we've waited 75 minutes to see the grand finale here. Neil Collins is incensed.
He should be. The linesman raises his flag, and the ball's nowhere near going over the sideline.
Part of me is thinking he should be playing while he's coaching too, by the way.
He wants to be.
Yeah.
He wants to be. He wants to be on the pitch, yelling and screaming at the lads, trying to get him going in the final 12, 13 minutes here. They've definitely got the momentum.
Flemings. Junior Flemings, a little bit behind Taylor. Tampa Bay has become the aggressor here. Turned over, Poku. Poku driving in. Poku to the side. Onto his right foot. One too many touches. And now Anunga. Saw Neil Collins there. He was protesting a red card. It was eventually later the suspension rescinded against Junior Flemings a couple games ago. Actually resulted in Joe Cole, who's picked up assistant coaching duties as the acting manager. His first game as a manager the same day as Frank Lampard made his debut. Ball knocked over the top. Header! It's up and over. Leon Taylor got in behind. Caught Kuzminski off his line and in no man's land, and in an empty net, he couldn't dip it under the crossbar.
Reference Leon Taylor right when he came on, and his ability to position himself in very dangerous spots. That's exactly what they're looking for from the big guy up top. Slides in behind Skylar Thomas Taylor Mueller. Gets up, just can't get it to ground. And as these managers continue to go tit for tat on their benches, trying to figure out what sort of lifeline they have at the close of this game, Neil Collins gonna go to his bench, pull the strings 2 more times. Must be nice in the 80th minute of the game to look over and have Ristov sitting there, giving the old wink, blink, and nod. Let me go get it done, coach.
So 2 Rowdy changes awaiting, including their all-time goal scorer, Georgi Ristov. Van Shake. It's a lot of room. Hackshaw curling, kept in play, Wild, corner. Now 5 members of the battery have trotted forward. Service swung. Van Shake trying to size it up. Anunga. Jay Bolt. Poku coming after him. So 2 changes coming. Devin, I think that the way the numbers are going to come onto the board doesn't necessarily mean the like-for-like swap. Porter and Ristov will trade places here. Ristov will move up front. Lakawecki, truly an outside back, steps in. Well, there's the man of the hour, Georgi Ristov. Past Derek Smethurst for the all-time goal-scoring record. The Rowdies on the 4th of July, taking nearly 2 months to finally break through. Fernandez coming on to the bench after a really dynamic first half, a slower second. All 3 subs in movement here.
You don't think Georgie wants to play right back?
No, I doubt it. I highly doubt that. Nunga, pirouette, Bolt nods it down. This is Guerra. There's a little space here. We've seen a lot from Charleston of those long diagonal balls in transition to try and open the Rowdies up, but they haven't been all that successful.
A lot of it's been the unsuccessful first touch on the receiving end of the ball. When you get into those tight channels, your window of opportunity closes down quite rapidly. So when the ball gets switched in a 30, 40-yard angle, It's got to be a positive touch, standing foot. When the ball comes through, you got to push it out in front of you. Continue that progression down the field. Instead, they've tried to maintain possession, hold the ball up. That's when the Rowdies have got an opportunity to step back.
Bolt, maybe a chance here. I think everybody in the stadium but Bolt thought that that had slowed to a crawl. Mueller, the great defenders in this league. He and Forrest Lasso were one of the great duos we've seen in recent times. It's staggering that Charleston had those two together before Lasso departed for Cincinnati. Crossfield ball, good from Flemings. Flemings cutting not once but twice, and now serves it in front. Dangerous ball. Rittmeyer helping to ease the pressure. And a foul. Well, there's pushing and shoving. Joe Cole reached down to help Candela up. Now Mueller's coming forward. Joe Cole. Guido Gonzalez having words. And Joe Cole is handed a yellow card.
This starts off as Joe Cole getting stuck in on Candela. Now it's very late. Candela not happy with the challenge at all, and he steps over to have a few words, tries to pull him up. That's Joe Cole letting that fiery emotion that we've seen from him in the past. And if you haven't, that's what he brings to the field on a regular basis. Just needs to let that veteran smartness step in there from a thought process standpoint and step back. Closing moments of this game. Want to make sure you're injecting positivity into your squad.
Big finish here. Wild. Now for Bolt. Bolt won't catch up to this.
You brought it up a couple moments ago, Mike, about those big long balls from the battery. I actually like the thought from Van Schaik initially, just a tad touch before that where he's coming up through the middle. You got to remember the elements that are at play now. End of the game, everybody's tired. Mentally, you're starting to fatigue. And then it starts to rain. You get a look from 30, 35 yards out. Why not have a crack? Because the tiny skip left, tiny skip right, little Old English on the ball is going to make these goalkeepers really think. We haven't seen anyone really challenge the goalkeeper from distance.
Odoro. Odoro. Listening intently through his earpiece. Diakite. Only 4 shutouts this season for the Rowdies. The last was 9 games ago, and of all teams to shut out, they beat FC Cincinnati 2-0 in St. Pete. They'd like more than just a 0-0 draw. Poku plays it wide. Bolt on skates, ball over the top. Taylor off his chest. Kuzminski picks it up.
Ristov comes on, trying to get these guys going, and Leon Taylor wasn't sure what he wanted to do there. Goes into the air and too low for him to get his head on it. Tries to bring it down off his chest, but his momentum had already swung in a different direction.
Poku, Cole. Run coming from Ristov. This will deflect back towards Lakawecki. Jay Bolt set to throw. He's a fellow Liverpool supporter, Dev.
Could tell by that beard a mile away he was. Guess this calls for me to travel to St. Pete, hang out with him.
Yeah.
Another excuse for me to go enjoy the city.
All right, all right. Charleston's a wonderful town.
Their downtown area is spectacular.
It sure is.
It's awesome.
Well, here's Higashi. You called this probably 10 minutes ago. This is the end of the line. Both coaches in terms of subs. Mueller for Thomas. Turned over, Ristoff arriving. Ristoff laying it through. Chance out for Taylor. Back, Ristoff. Liftoff. Thomas. If the Rowdies scored, has all the makings of a season-changing moment. Ristoff opening up, going on frame. Kuzminski handles the screamer. He was signed the first day of his trial with the Rowdies. They knew it immediately. Bulgarian. 3 added minutes separate us from full time. Good idea from Flemings. Taylor brings it down. Junior Flemings responds. Flemings pushing onward. Able to step away. Flemings, all kinds of movement. Throws in instantly. Cole. Joe Cole. Header back across toward Taylor. And Mueller got there. Rowdies slinking back into place. If you're the Battery, a road draw away to Tampa Bay is a good result. Cole, an opening, finds Flemings. Flemings was trying to sweep it back across his body. Rowdies, 19 of their 31 goals the second half. All bouncing away from Thomas. They've also, Devin, as you noted earlier, conceded 19 of their 31 in the second half. They've opened games up late. Gorski brought down. Slow from Poku. Cole. Lakowecki. Rouse Mob shouting instructions to attack onward. Gorski. Flemings. Flemings allowed through. Flemings did not get that in at the byline.
Almost a too little, too late for the Rowdies. Really struggling in the closing moments of this game to find that final pass. Junior Flemings having a cup of tea just moments ago on the back post. Instead, the ball's laid off to Ristoff. He doesn't get the best of chances off, and Flemings just trying to make much ado about nothing as he gets into the final third here. Maybe one final look for the Rowdies, but
there's the throw. Touch there, there's appeals both ways. Full time. Finishes scoreless between Tampa Bay and Charleston. Charleston still in third, Tampa Bay Well, still beneath the playoff line. They're 3 points away, Devin, from 8th.
Wasted opportunity for both squads. Charleston Battery had some chances in the first half, much quieter in the second. The Rowdies really took control and near the end of the first half, and you saw some of that momentum carry over, especially towards the latter portion of the second half, but neither squad able to close out. Again, really lacking execution once they got into the final third.
Finishes scoreless between Tampa Bay and Charleston. We'll wrap up the USL Game of the Week after this. Finishes scoreless in St. Petersburg. Fifth shutout of the year for the Rowdies, first in the last 10 games. It's now 5 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses at home for the Rowdies this year. Alongside former German pro Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside full-time in our USL Game of the Week. It is now 10 unbeaten, longest in the league this year for the Battery. They had a 9-game earlier this year. But you have to say neither team finished, and they left 2 points on the table.
Everybody's looking for closure, and that's what it was. You got into the final third, couldn't make a decision or made a poor one, and that's what led to the 0-0 tie. And this is going to be one where you look back for the Tampa Bay Rowdies and think maybe this was one that got away because they definitely could have deserved 3 points here. They just couldn't finish.
And Devin, if you think about the playoff picture, the Rowdies, they're just 3 points away. They've got some teams they have to jump, but they could still get there.
The good thing for them is that there's a couple boys above them that are playing each other. Bethlehem Steel taking on the Charlotte Independence, so that's going to be a tit-for-tat just above them in the layout. But again, you've got to find a way to find the back of the net. Bringing Bonomo in is not going to be the only answer. He needs help.
And Charleston, this is good news again.
Continue the streak. Much like Reno, and they had a bunch of ties in their 16 game. Don't give up any points. They did that on the road, outlying a very difficult place to play. They should be happy with the result.
Well, we enjoyed it. We hope you did too. Thanks for watching the USL Game of the Week. Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg, the site. Ralph's Mob provided the perfect background As the Rowdies and the Battery finish on level terms tonight, the Rowdies remain beneath the playoff line while the Battery are just 5 points out of first. For our entire team in St. Petersburg, led by Sharni Yerke and Kevin Brelentham, Mike Friedman, producer Abel Ponte, director Gage Tillotson, Jose Bueso, and Devin Kerr alongside Mike Watts saying thanks for watching. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.